Hey everyone, we're back and we're joined with top real estate agent Elizabeth Austin. And today we're going to talk about how consumers perceive real estate agents. We've been dealing with, not really dealing, but we find this a lot where we're giving advice to potential consumers and we end up finding out they don't really take that advice. And then also we're going to go into how some real estate agents are starting to say that they're just a messenger and not an expert advisor. And so Elizabeth, tell us a little bit about, what you're running into with the way consumers are starting to perceive, real estate agents.
Yeah, absolutely. So I work with a lot of clients. I feel like we see this a little bit more when we're talking to sellers than when we're talking to buyers. And that's probably because there's more money associated where, sorry guys, I got a call. We'll do not disturb so that this isn't an issue. But, I think that that's an issue more so with sellers because of the fact they're actually paying for our services, where from the buyer standpoint, we are free. Not that we're not seeing this as an issue from the buyer standpoint, but I think it is more prevalent with sellers. So what I'm coming across is a few things. A, it's the consumer starting to think that they are the professional. They know just as much, if not more, than what the actual expert advisor does. Or they don't see the value in what we do, and they think it's, we put a sign in the yard, we pray that a home sells. And unfortunately, there are agents out there who've ruined that for the real professional in the business. So a few things. I recently was on an appointment with someone and was battling them, trying to tell me exactly what their home was worth, what the lot was worth, even though there was no sale comps or data that supported that, trying to find comps to value her home at, comparing her home to brand new builds by a builder in a completely different city, and trying to say, but that builder's crap and my stuff is great. And I think that's also a perception of when the emotion comes into the home or what you've done to upgrade it or build it, you get really attached. And of course, everyone wants the most amount of money for their home. That's so true. But I have this person who tried to do all of their own data, all of their own analytics, thinks she knows exactly how to value a property. And it's truly all wrong. It's not bad in theory, any of the actual steps along the way with the process of selling, appraisals, marketing, everything. None of it actually works that way. But there's no convincing her otherwise right now, because you know what? She listed her home and has some views on Zillow.
Well, yeah. And so what you're really saying is when it comes down to it, is it more the emotion that kind of gets in the way to not really wanting to heed that advice? Because as a real estate agent, our job is to look at everything from the number wise and logically and less emotion, right? So would you say it's
right?
They're not taking that advice as well because the emotions are getting in their way?
That's a part of it. It's not all of it. It's a part of it, and I think the bigger issue is, and this kind of may go into some agents not doing their full job as a fiduciary and not being the true expert, is unfortunately there's incredibly low bar of entry into our industry. So anyone can get in if you're willing to take like 3-4 weeks worth of classes. Let's be real, it's not hard and it's not that costly. We also know the rules of like 90% of agents drop out within the first 2 years. Most consumers don't know that, and we know a lot of consumers will hire the first person that they actually speak to. With that all being said, that is then putting the bad taste in their mouth because the consumer who doesn't necessarily know better is not doing enough due diligence to make sure they're hiring a true professional. So when they work with one bad person, it kind of taints the whole perception of professionals in our industry. And then they feel like, you know what, that person really let me down. And we see this a lot because think about it, our number one source of business is helping people whose homes didn't sell when they were previously on the market with another agent for whatever reason that was. And so now their whole perception of agents is tainted. They think that we're not going to do anything. And they think that just because sometimes our tools may be things they have access to, the way we may market a home or the exposure, they can host an open house, they could run an ad on Facebook. They then start to think, I might as well do it myself. So I think it's a combination of the emotion. And I think it's a combination a little bit of not knowing what to look for in an agent so that you don't even have that bad experience to begin with, so that you truly find that person who does this every day, who is a professional, who's got the knowledge and the expertise, which really they should check out your last video you just did of what to look for when hiring an agent, honestly.
Absolutely. And I'll put that in the comments down below. That was I did a YouTube video on kind of the top 5 tips on how to hire real estate agents. And what else though? I mean, those are just 5 tips that I shared in that video. But when consumers are sitting down with agents, what should they be looking for, and making sure that, one, how do we know that the advice that you give versus, let's say it's a brand new agent that it's a family friend. How do we make sure that they know they're truly getting the best advice that protects them?
That's a great question, especially because sometimes what I'm telling you is not what you want to hear. So then when that happens, you already are like, well, why should I trust you with the information you're delivering to me right now? The real reason is going to be results, I think, in my opinion. I have true results. These aren't my broker's numbers. These aren't even your numbers. These are my numbers. I've got real results. I've got real testimonies. I've got real stories I can share with you, and I can share it out of the horse's mouth himself, AKA my past client. And I think that's huge because we can all sound very similar, right? We all go to a lot of the same classes. We receive a lot of the same education. Everyone can talk a good game. And that's the difference then between someone who's like a salesperson who's just telling you what you want to hear to get you to sign on the dotted line, versus someone who is a true fiduciary and here. I don't know why I keep getting calls when we're trying to do this. But that's the difference between someone who's a true fiduciary, who's here to be that consultant, advise and guide. And that's where, as a consultant, I'm going to advise you on everything, looking at the facts, the stats, all of the real numbers. That way we have facts over feelings. It's still up to you whether or not you're going to take the advice or not. But that's where we need to start putting that faith in the true agent and looking at those results. And when they can give you those results and the proofs in the pudding, take their advice for what it is, because we do this every day and consumers don't. And I see them get in their own way more than anything. And I'm on an uphill battle against that. Yeah.
And what I would say is they should just hire you anyway, just because you were able to keep that flow of conversation going just now while being interrupted twice with 2 phone calls and didn't get distracted by it at all. So, I mean, that's a lot better than what I could do. So, but let's kind of move into this, this still is the perception of how real estate agents are. And this is something that really bugs me, right? This is something that one of my biggest pet peeves is, when we're negotiating with buyers and sellers and we're having to go through their agent, and the agent just comes back to us and said, this is what the client wants. And you're like, well, I mean, that's a little bit ridiculous, but okay. And they're like, well, don't shoot me. I'm just the messenger. Right. And look, when you start saying stuff like that, that devalues what we do, one, as a real estate broker and a real estate agent. And thus they shouldn't take our advice. Right. I mean, at that time, if you're just a messenger, then you're just the mouthpiece for that person, and you're not giving them any true advice on how to get this house sold or how to get this home under contract. And,
I'm not here just to be an intermediary for communication.
Right. And I'm starting to see that more and more. And I don't know if it's because, as the real estate market started to boom up, we started to get more and more new agents getting in. But I just dealt with one right now, and this was a broker that has been in the business well. They are fairly successful, and we thought we had some terms agreed upon, and then all of a sudden they change them last minute when we're going back and telling our clients, all right, sign off on this and we're good to go. And then last minute changes are happening without our knowledge and saying, well, don't shoot me. I'm just the messenger. This is what that client wants. And it's like, no, when you really break it down, actually those changes were in the betterment for my buyer. Right. So it's actually really good for my client.
Like, okay.
And it puts your client a little bit more at risk, and it just didn't make any sense. So our fiduciary responsibilities are to our clients, and we're here to give advice to them, not just to be their messenger and mouthpiece. And, that goes into the perception of what real estate agents and brokers do. And with that is somebody that you should look for in hiring, someone who's going to make sure that they truly have your best interest. they don't have just that commission breath, right?
Well,
Because
let me ask you a question actually, real quick, while you're on this, just because you have been in the business longer than me. You're like, what, 12 years in now, something like that? Maybe longer?
2006, so 13 years.
13?
Yep.
Okay, so 13 years in. Some of the perception, I think, we've got way more talent. There's way more players in the game now, but also it's been such this amazing market where they feel like, oh, I really don't have to do anything to get my home sold. So how much do you think it's the market playing into this perception of like, I don't need an agent, I don't need that advice, even though some would probably argue in that market you need them more than ever, and I would be one of those. How much is it the market versus, like, how much do you think that plays into the factor? Like, was that something you experienced back in the day?
Absolutely. I mean, I think we're always going to experience that no matter what type of market we're in. So during the recession, the thought process, well, I don't need an agent because I don't have enough equity in my house and I needed to save every penny I could in order to sell, right? Because they were in a financial spot that they had to sell. And during that time, it was more important than ever to hire an agent to make sure that they got that maximum exposure. More often than not, unfortunately, it went into a short sale situation. So they really needed that expert advisor on their side. And as the market started going up, of course, it seemed like anybody that could fog a mirror could sell a house, or if you threw your home up for sale by owner, it would still sell. For that tiny gap in time period right there, absolutely. Did you really need a real estate agent? Probably not. But more often than not, we still saw that the people that sold their homes by owner, and in fact, you've got a great story on this, is a family friend of ours, of mine, that ended up buying that house in McKinney. That, remember, we couldn't find them a lot of houses because they were going really quick, and then you found them one through, it was a for sale by owner that actually was below market value during the peak, right? And so we're still seeing for sale by owners during the peak sell well below what market value was. And if you factored in commissions and everything else, they still would have came out ahead with hiring a real estate agent. And so I do believe that the market always plays a factor in whether a consumer thinks they need a real estate agent or not. And we do a really bad job as a real estate industry to show our value, right? Because there is a low barrier of entry. Anybody with a couple $1,000 and can take the class and can pass it will go out and just start being able to market themselves as a real estate expert when they're really not.
Right.
And so in my opinion, I think there should be more of an apprentice style program. Kind of like in the plumbing world, you can't become a master plumber. You actually start as an apprentice. It's the same thing as an electrician. You don't become a master electrician. You start out as an apprentice. You got to work your way up. And so there should be a little bit more of those requirements in there, but because they're not, we have to still deal with those obstacles. And we do a really good job here at the Good Home Team of being able to show and differentiate our values, right? It's not just that we sell 200 plus properties a year. That doesn't matter. It's actually the follow through and making sure that, hey, we're going to do what we say we're going to do, right? Because a lot of times a consumer will hire a real estate agent. They will throw all this stuff at the wall, right? I'm going to do this, and this. And then all of a sudden they're not doing anything. And then the consumer gets upset.
I think it's even more than the follow through. I think it's the fact that we're not a one trick pony. So it's truly seeing like, what's your goal? What's your problem? What do we need to achieve with the sale of your home or the purchase of the next one? And there's so many ways for us to actually get there that I have to keep in mind with all of the steps that a consumer's never aware of behind the scenes with lending, with title, with appraisers, everything that I have to get them through until we get to the closing table, inspections, condition of homes. Like, there's so many different factors that are going to determine exactly how we move forward. And if you don't have someone who can think that, like, from that bird's eye view, I guess, essentially, of this entire experience as a whole, they are just going to say, price it at this, put it on the market, and let's see what happens.
And then what is the solution if it's not selling? Continue dropping your price, which, look, that is one of the solutions to it. But there are other ways also to attract buyers in, to find ways to get the house sold. And so it's being like you said, it's being that problem solver. I mean, what if you're a buyer buying a house, and this is something you can relate to, Elizabeth, that the roof needs to be replaced, or It should have been replaced.
Roofs are my kryptonite.
That's right. And the roof should have been replaced, but the seller took the insurance money and didn't do anything with it. We run into that quite a bit.
Every year.
And if you're doing that on your own and trying to navigate those waters, you need, like, first off, if the homeowner didn't replace the roof but took the insurance money, your insurance is not going to cover that. And so you need to know how to navigate that, especially with a difficult seller who's going to say, nope, I'm not doing anything. You already knew that the roof wasn't replaced and I took the money, blah, blah, blah. And it's finding solutions to overcome that if you still want the house. And so, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say, I actually kind of want to put you on the spot and I want to flip the script on you. And I want to ask, in your opinion, why do real estate agents devalue themselves?
It's because they get desperate for money. And it always comes down to that, because this is 100% commission, industry, that they don't come in prepared. Right. And so, I was just having with my brother-in-law last night, I was having a conversation with him about, if he wanted to get in this business, you need to have at least 6 months worth of savings. And what ends up happening is a new real estate agent comes in and they're, and I can go over the emotional cycle of change all day long, right? So, they're super happy, and that will be for another live video that we do, but they're super excited. They're like, oh, heck yes, all right, I got my license. I'm ready to start selling houses. But then nothing happens, right? And they're like, all right, they start sleeping in a little bit later because they quit their job. They don't have anybody to report to. They're their own boss, and they kind of mess around creating a website. They kind of maybe make a post on Facebook that, hey, they just passed their test. They're super excited. If you know anybody thinking about buying or selling, use me. And no one's calling them. And so what happens?
Right.
Your money starts running low. You start freaking out, and you're like, I'll do this and this and this. I'll do it for free. I'll do it for next to nothing. And that's where the devaluation comes in, right? And look, you get what you pay for. I mean, you can go
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's kind of like going and buying a car from a car dealership. You can go to one of those, tote the note type car dealerships that, it'll be a cheaper car, and it may break down on you. But, you spent less. Or you can go to, like, Sewell Cadillac, or the Sewell dealerships, or Crest, or whatever. Right. And you're going to pay a little bit more, but more often than not that car has been inspected and that it comes possibly with a warranty, et cetera. So it's the same thing in the real estate side of, you're not just getting with us, you're getting our expertise in how to solve problems. You're getting our expertise in being creative with marketing. We were running special financing offers, when interest rates were starting to go up, before anybody else was, right? And we still aren't seeing people running special financing offers and trying to overcome those objections. So, it's finding that agent that is quick to adapt in any type of market change, and understand that the market is changing. It's constantly
absolutely. And even though I'm telling you news you may not want to hear, don't just think I'm looking for that quick sale. Let me look at you. That's where the results come into play. I don't need this is going to sound awful, but I don't need your quick sale. We do sell over 200 homes a year. So if I was just needing a quick sale, wouldn't be the person who could consistently do that year over year and have repeat and referral business be our number one source of business at this day. Like, that's not how we survive. But if I'm going to talk to the consumer real quick, I'm going to really advise them to find that professional, look at the results, feel free to even get references from them, but then listen to them, because what I see, and I think we battle this because a majority of the people we work with were unsuccessful on the market for whatever reason before. So now they think this doesn't work. ABC doesn't work to get my home sold. I don't want you to do that. And I know for a fact it doesn't work because it didn't work with that person. And that's where I've got to start having consumers be open to hearing a professional. And maybe that's where I have to do a better job of figuring out how to deliver it to them so it's heard or received differently, is someone who, let's just say open houses, right? You're going to have the people who definitely want them. You're going to have the people who don't. We overall know it's still a low percentage of sales that happen from an open house. But what can we say? We can say that's a layered in technique we do with all of our extra marketing, because I am here to turn over every stone for you. And have we successfully sold homes from open houses? Yes, absolutely. Yes, we have done it. So rather than saying it doesn't work because of that agent that I was with before didn't work, please listen to me, because I have different resources, as in money I can put behind advertisement for open houses. I've got a different network and exposure that I can get your home in front of. So, and I've got different tactics to actually get people to the open house, like manpower, true legwork I'm doing to drive traffic to your property. So an open house with me could be a very different experience than an open house with another agent. That's just one thing I want to kind of touch on, though, as please, that's where I need the consumer to be open to hearing the agent and not just assuming you know how to do my job better than me and being like, open houses, no, they don't work. Don't do them.
So one thing that you touched on that I think is probably would be overlooked if we didn't bring it up is you talked about your network, right? And so that's actually probably an undervalued thing.
Way undervalued. And I think people will start seeing the value more and more here in the next few years, the way things are going with social media, but it's huge. It's absolutely huge.
I mean, from an agent-to-agent referral, from a fact that from our network, from a social media side, there's a reason why we do these live videos too, right? It's in order to help gain more exposure, not just for us, but it's also to help us when our clients hire us, that we're going to gain exposure for their listings, or for buyers to understand that, look, not every agent is created equal, right? We've heard so many horror stories on agents representing buyers that they didn't get a home warranty in there, or there was one on a buyer's agent who I have to go back and look at it. It's a buddy of mine, David Calloway, has mentioned. Oh, this is what it was, and this could be another topic for another time. Is he was selling his house, and a buyer's agent brought a buyer in, and this buyer's agent told that client not to get an inspection.
Oh, no.
Yes. And it's been a nightmare, not just for the buyer, but for David as well. He said it was okay to use his name. So, but it's crazy to hear an agent say, don't get an inspection. And so that's what's wrong with the industry in itself.
And they're putting them in liable positions. Like, I would never advise
putting everybody in a liable position. So at the end of the day, as we wrap this up, look, go and watch the YouTube video. I'll post it in the comment down below. And it's just 5 quick tips on how to hire a real estate agent. One is stalking them online. Go look at how they conduct themselves on Facebook, on Twitter. Are they having drunken tweets and getting into wars with people like that? We've seen people like that in the real estate side.
Oh, we've seen it.
And that, look, are they high drama? Go check out the reviews. If they have a lot of reviews out there, you can't please everyone. We have some negative reviews on ours, right?
Of course.
We can't please 100% of everyone, even though we would love to.
Right.
And go see what they do in terms of marketing. If you're looking at selling your house, marketing's key. They don't need to be doing the 4 P's of marketing, which is, place a sign in the yard, take photos. Hopefully they pay for a professional photographer. Place it
not always,
because they got that great iPhone camera and they think they're a photographer now. They place it in the MLS and
they pray that it sells.
And they praise that it sells, right? And the MLS is not the end all be all. If it was, then a flat fee service would be.
They would work. That story I was telling you earlier of the woman who thought she was the professional still doesn't want to hire me because she doesn't see the value of paying for my services. However, has been with 3 different flat fee companies and the home's still not sold.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So we're not even looking at those results. I want to share one story real quick. We'll keep this overall short, but this is an example of something to look for. And this is not just a listen to how great I sound, hire me type thing, but this is the type of advice and methodical thought I think you should be getting from someone who's a true professional in the business. So we've got a client who we helped a few years ago buy some rental properties, like 4 or 5. Actually, Austin helped her. And she's looking to get back in the game to get some rentals. An average agent could possibly just hear, you want to buy some more properties? Awesome. Let me go find you a home. How much money are we working with? How many properties can we buy? Let's go buy you 1 or 2, 3 rental properties, put 20% down, be done. Awesome. I'm growing your portfolio. My reaction to it was, what are the properties that you have now? Let's truly look at this from the best use of your money. And what are the rental properties you have now? I'm looking at what her payoff is on these properties, what her current rent is on these properties, what her current mortgage is on these properties, where I could increase her rent to, what that's looking to increase her cash flow to every year, and then what her sale, like what market value is on the homes. That way we can see how much money can we make you? What is your true actual cash on cash return now? What's your potential cash on cash return if we increase these rents? And is this the actual best place for your money? Or does it make more sense now to sell this one home and go leverage the equity in that home to buy for, let's say, 3 or 4 more properties? And that's the case we're looking at with one of them right now, and I'm valuing 3 others. Is I can increase your yearly cash flow by minimum $3,600, so about $300 a month. You're undervalued in rents. That sounds really awesome. That actually has you, because you bought at such a phenomenal time, that actually has your cash flow at $730 something a month. That's almost kind of unheard of right now.
Yeah.
However, her cash on cash return is actually only at a 7%. And we've got places we can go put that in real estate to get her a 10 to 12% return and get that higher, as well as market value, let's say, is $225. The equity in the home is $125,000. If you divide that by putting down 20%, maybe a little bit of money on a few other properties, I can now leverage your assets from $225,000 in value to buy 3 or 4 and get you to like $650,000, $750,000 of real estate that you could own. So even if your cash flow every month doesn't go up, I just increased your leverage in another way.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thinking you should have from someone who's advising you, not just awesome, cool, I can go get some quick sales. And that's the full service you should be looking for.
100%. So as we wrap this up, Elizabeth will drop her information in the comments below. And if you have any questions, message us or comment on this. And we'll join you. We'll be back next week, more than likely Monday or Tuesday. So
yeah, we'll be on time.
Yeah, on time. It's been a crazy week. So, join us. And then if you have any questions for us, just reach out to us. We'd be happy to answer any questions. Or if you're thinking about buying or selling, you can always go to thegoodhometeam.com or reach out to us at 972-215-7653. So we will see you guys next week.
Thanks, Nick.
Bye.